Yes, sir. So we have crunched those numbers as well. We've got about 40% of our patients are under 20. I would say probably 25% of those are under 12. I can confirm that we are seeing single shots to the head, neck, chest.
When there was a sudden blinding flash, terrific noise, I was knocked to the deck, semi-conscious, thinking life was over. Thought that crossed my mind was at least Lois and the kids are taken care of.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. On September 17th, British stars, including Benedict Cumberbatch, took to Oval Arena in fabled Wembley Stadium and filled 12,000 seats in a benefit for Palestine.
Together for Palestine.
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 Together for Palestine.
We have to tell the truth on behalf of the people of Palestine.
It's always been the artist's role in society to speak out, to risk speaking truth to power.
Together.
We know that the leaders of this country are complicit in the mass murder of civilians in Gaza and the West Bank.
Palestine के लिए एक साथ
Juntos por Palestina.
Lekele ar son na Palestine.
हम फलस्तीन के लिए एक साथ.
Asi Palestine the Nalhan.
In Entoglesh on Palestine.
Together for Palestine.
It's important to speak out now, not when this is over. Right now, while it's happening.
For Palestine.
Pressurize your government. Lend your support to those who are peacefully campaigning.
For Palestine.
Call for a ceasefire. Stop the killing.
Y vamos a estar con ellos hasta que Palestina sea libre.
On that same date, the Israeli paper Haaretz described in Gaza City a new level of hell. This is from a September 17, 2025 article in Haaretz by Nagam Zbidat. Quote, last week, the Israeli military issued evacuation orders for the entirety of Gaza City, urging its 1 million residents to flee south. But being displaced comes at a hefty price. A single truck ride from Gaza City to the southern cities of Deir al-Balah or Khan Yunis, a distance of 14 to 25 kilometers, approximately 8 to 15 miles, can cost now up to 7,000 shekels, $2,000 in cash, unquote. Get that? $2,000 to go around 10 miles, and you have to have it in cash. But what if your money is in the bank? The Israelis stopped the internet in Gaza City. How can you access it? We're told the Israeli army is announcing that today, the 18th, there's one way to exit the city, and that will be closed after today. At the end of today, they evidently plan to level the city and murder anyone left inside. Gaza City is a new level of hell. The Israelis have not yet shut down that last exit route. Here, many people crowd onto a truck as they leave the city. Now, Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Speaks to an experienced war surgeon about what's happening in Gaza. And Juan Gonzalez asks that surgeon about the IDF practice of shooting children with a single shot to the head.
We begin with Dr. Kathleen Gallagher, general surgeon based in North Dakota, currently volunteering at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. She's a military veteran who served as a medic in Iraq and Afghanistan. She previously volunteered as a surgeon in Honduras and Ukraine. Dr. Gallagher arrived in Gaza September 2nd, is volunteering at Nasser Hospital for a month with the group Med Global.
And doctor, I wanted to ask you, the Dutch newspaper De Volkskrant quoted 15 international doctors saying at least 114 Palestinian children had a single gunshot wound to their head or their chest. And the forensic experts are suggesting these injuries are deliberate. What have you been seeing in terms of injuries to children?
Yes, sir. So we have crunched those numbers as well. We've got about 40% of our patients are under 20. I would say probably 25% of those are under 12. I can confirm that we are seeing single shots to the head, neck, chest. My partners down in the emergency room who are working absolutely tirelessly to stabilize these folks so they can survive to surgery have reported to me that 2 days ago, they lost 6 children under 12 to single shots to the head. We have seen multiple isolated neck wounds, and I have operated on 4 separate people in the last 48 hours with wounds to the chest. And it's
little trouble with your
but of lethal shots. I have not seen any evidence that non-lethal means are being used on the ground there.
And you've worked as a volunteer medic in Ukraine and Honduras, as well as served in the U.S. military in Iraq and Afghanistan. How does Gaza compare?
This is worse than anything I've ever seen. The scale of destruction is something that I couldn't even comprehend before I got here. Everywhere you look, you see buildings, civic infrastructure just completely destroyed. And we're in Khan Yunis, which is one of the last sort of remaining cities that's still somewhat standing. You look south towards Rafah and there's nothing. You hear reports from Bet Hanun and there's nothing. Gaza City is on the way. The mass deep displacement of people is also really, really shocking. You know, everybody from Rafah has already been pushed north to the area around Khan Yunis, the middle area. People from Gaza City are coming this way. There is no more room. Everyone is living in tents. Somehow they manage to, the Palestinians are incredible. Somehow they manage to keep water, trucks running, garbage trucks running. They're doing everything they can to maintain their society. But it's getting harder and harder every day. And I have an enormous amount of fear for that infrastructure as the refugees arrive from the north.
Dr. Kathleen
this is worse
Gallagher,
than anything I could possibly have imagined.
Dr. Gallagher, our last question to you is about this UN inquiry that's found this week Israel has committed genocide during its nearly 2-year assault on Gaza. It's the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory. They put out a 72-page report that Israel's government's responsible for 4 of the 5 acts prohibited under the 1948 Genocide Convention. Of course, you are not a genocide expert. You are a medical doctor. But your reaction to this report as a frontline doctor in Gaza?
Yeah, as you said, I'm not a genocide expert, but what I'm seeing here is evidence of a systematic destruction, as I said, of the civil infrastructure, the extermination of a people and a way of life.
On the same program, Mohammed Shehadeh sums up what Israel is doing.
They are basically swarming Gaza City right now with a huge amount of drones, as well as armored personnel carriers that have been robotized. They turned it into giant bombs. They fill it basically with explosive ammunition to the brim and send it and detonate it from a distance into largely populated and overcrowded areas. So my friend Ibrahim, yesterday, he woke up to one of these robotized vehicles exploding underneath the building where he was sheltering with his family and in-laws, and he started running. Half of the building collapsed, the other half was intact, so he narrowly escaped death, and he just grabbed his 4-year-old, his wife, and they started running until they reached the south of Gaza. Ever since, he's been calling me every a few minutes to ask, begging literally, to ask for a tent or for food, and I've been trying everywhere to find him something as simple as a tent to sleep in, and I couldn't find anything. Yesterday, we had 3 people dying from starvation in Gaza, in addition to the 60 people killed and murdered by the IDF throughout the Gaza Strip. What you have is basically right now about 370,000 people left Gaza City, according to Israel, and the Israeli newspaper Yeda'ot Ahranot headlined it with, "It's a death march. It's a literal death march." Like my friend Ibrahim, he's now sleeping on the streets since yesterday, unable to provide any food or shelter for his family. That's why you have the overwhelming majority of people still in Gaza City, unable to leave, refusing to leave, because there's basically no place to go that would be safe or where they would be able to find shelter. And you have basically right now, the internet has been cut off from northern Gaza and Gaza City since this morning, as well as the continuous bombardment. It's like 9/11 style Israeli bombing of high-rise towers throughout the Gaza Strip, especially in Gaza City, to terrorize people into fleeing, while at the same time they understand that those people cannot flee. Yesterday, Israel called on a family to flee south. As soon as they took a car and tried to flee, they bombed them on the way, killing every single member of the family. So it's just extermination for the sake of extermination.
And already Israel has used U.S. weapons to blow up some 50 high-rises in Gaza City. This one had been the tallest tower in the city. Here's something to cheer you. Some of the boats from the global Samud flotilla leaving a port in the Basque country. These are boats leaving Sicily on the 19th of September. Some 40 boats now have gathered to go to Gaza. We implored you to call Connecticut Senator Blumenthal, to have him call Netanyahu and demand that the boats not be attacked. As far as we can tell, Blumenthal has been silent. Here's his number again. You may have heard that the president is declaring that Antifa is a major terrorist organization. Now, it's not clear if there is any such anti-fascist group, but let's go back a step. In February, the president declared that a gang called Tren de Aragua were terrorists. Now, they are a gang of criminals, but terrorists? But with that designation, they no longer have human rights, not even the right to life, and you can go to war against them. So Trump's people blew up 2 boats on the high seas that he claimed were of that gang. Now he says there's a group of U.S. citizens on U.S. soil that are part of a major terrorist organization. Antifa, or as he pronounces it, Antifa. So if the spy satellites see a bunch of people in the woods, and will the president have the military blow them up, no questions asked, and then crow about killing Antifa terrorists? Surely Congress will never allow that, right? Just about a year ago, the Labour Party in Britain came back into power after a massive victory. It very soon gutted its own program and rushed to the right. The British are growing very unhappy with conditions there, and the far right is taking advantage of it. There was a rally in London last weekend of some 100,000 people joining behind a man named Tommy Robinson. Robinson was convicted of assaulting an off-duty police officer in a drunken argument and served 12 months in prison. He went to prison 4 other times. There was a court order for stalking that was taken out against him. But he is the leader. And who appeared at the rally on a screen? The world's richest man, Elon Musk. He began his comments by claiming there's a massive, uncontrolled immigration into Britain, and later says the British government is failing to protect, quote, innocent people, including children who are getting gang raped, unquote. Unreal. Tommy Robinson asks him piously, why is free speech so important to you? Musk answers, so many of the left want to crush debate to put you in prison just for talking as you were, unquote. Yeah, poor Tommy Robinson was put in jail just for talking. Elon Musk, what a piece of work. Now a survivor talks. Bryce Lockwood, a sergeant in the Marines, was on the USS Liberty before Israel attacked and killed 34 Americans.
So I'm going to introduce this guy. He's become my friend over the past 3 days. The only thing we messed up is his keffiyeh he forgot, and I forgot my socks. Gunny Sergeant Bryce Lockwood, USMC.
There were roughly 190 of us that were crammed into that space. Every time one of those Israeli ammunition pieces would strike the ship, it was like you were on the inside of a large steel drum and somebody was beating on it with a sledgehammer. That continued for a considerable period of time. We went about our business of getting all the information that we had into ditching bags so we could take all that information topside and pitch it over into the sea. Captain came on the 1MC, which was the internal public address system on the ship, and said, "Brace yourselves, torpedo attack, starboard side." Well, that's where we were. One of my buddies, Ronnie Campbell, kind of made a joke about it. He said, "Well, he hit us with everything else. What else can they hit us with?" He said, "You fellas can do what you want to. I'm going to write a letter home." Sat down to his desk, got a sheet of paper, stuck it in the mill, and he said, "Dear Eileen, you will not believe what's happening to us." The assistant division officer stuck his head in the hatchway and he said, "Sergeant Lockwood, you come here a minute, please." I stepped out into the hallway, the passageway in between. He got me into a conversation with him and the senior intelligence collection officer, Lieutenant Commander Dave Lewis. All of these ditching bags with all this classified information had to be gotten topside. They're shooting up there. That's Marine's job, get shot at. Just got me into a conversation about getting a working party together and getting those ditching bags topside, pitching them over. I felt something cold. I looked down and water was gushing in. I heard a moan behind me. There was a sailor trapped there between what had been a temporary bulkhead of sheet metal. When the torpedo blew, that exploded like a gigantic mushroom. It caught the sailor between that collapsed bulkhead and the ladderway, which was the only way out for all these 190-some men that were down there. I got my arms under his and tried to pull him loose, and the water was rapidly rising. What had happened, I didn't find out till years later, that torpedo had literally lifted the ship out of the water and set her back down. And when she sat down, she started rolling with the sea, and that water was gushing in and out. I said to him, I said, "I can't do it by myself. You got to help me. Come on, get your feet on you and push." Well, I didn't know the reason he had been sitting down. He'd been struck by a piece of shrapnel on his left thigh from one of the rockets that had been fired at us. And it was bleeding profusely. He'd got a tourniquet, was applying that to the wound, and his left knee was raised up, and when that bulkhead struck his left knee, it literally made toothpicks out of his femur. We were told to go to the radio room, which was on the port side, the left side of the ship. There were 3 motor torpedo boats that were circling us and riddling us with heavy caliber machine gun strikes. When she was finally dry docked in Malta, Lucca, Malta, they counted 826 large caliber strikes, napalm, rockets fired, heat-seeking rockets, 40 millimeter cannon fire. There were 3,100 strikes of 30 millimeter machine gun strikes on the ship by accident, according to the Israeli version. I'm lying on the deck in the radio room, and I'm wondering, they told us they'd have aircraft to us in 10 minutes. This is already like over an hour and a half. I remember seeing some sailors carrying 3 inflatable life rafts through. And I heard this Mayday go out. The Israelis were jamming our distress frequencies, which is a violation of international law. One of our radiomen figured out when they were firing rockets at us, they could not jam our distress frequencies because that jammed up the flights of the rockets. And in that brief span, this Mayday went out. Firefox, Firefox. This is Rock Star. Under attack by unidentified surface and air units require immediate assistance. That Mayday was acknowledged and the shooting stopped. These sailors carried those life rafts through, put them over the side. There were what we call a line to hold them till we could get our wounded aboard. I heard a revving of diesel engines and more machine gun fire. A lot of machine gun fire. One of those sailors came back through the radio room and says, I don't know what we're going to do now. He said they have riddled all that we had left to get off. I don't know how true it is. I've not seen it myself, but I understand that machine gun fire had severed the line holding one of those life rafts. It was labeled U.S. Navy. One of those motor torpedo boats came in and picked up that life raft. And I understand it is on display in the Israeli Naval War Museum at Haifa, along with a ship's wheel of the torpedo that fired the fatal torpedo. The captain of that motor torpedo boat was a son of the Israeli admiral who was a commander of the Israeli Navy. And that is on display as a trophy of war. I could not understand what was going on. I just could not understand. I didn't even know who was attacking us. They were using unmarked aircraft, which is a violation of international law.
See his whole talk on our YouTube channel, The Struggle Video News.
Your way. There is food, there will be
head kiss of the
That's our program for today. See you next week. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.